Hey, what's going on, guys? Welcome back for another video. Today, I'm bringing you a complete step-by-step, easy-to-follow build guide on our most recent $150 console killer budget gaming PC. In this video, we will be showing you how to build a $150 console killer from start to finish. This video can even be used as a reference to those interested in building the $200 console killer budget PC minus the case swap. The main difference between these two PCs is the graphics card. We use the same Dell Optiplex and the same power supply in both builds, but don't worry, we are working on a complete Dell Optiplex to gaming PC case swap video as we speak and should be out shortly. If you're new to the channel or didn't see any of the console killer budget PC videos I'm talking about, they will be linked in the video description below, as this video won't really make much sense until watching those. Alright, first we're going to start by removing the side panel. Once removing the side panel, flip the PC on its side, or align it at a good angle where you can access these 4 screws that hold the power supply in place. As we are replacing the power supply with a much more powerful 500 watt power supply, we need to remove the stock power supply completely. Unscrew all 4 screws. Now, before removing the stock power supply from the PC, we need to unplug it from the motherboard, the hard drive, and the disk drive. In the Dell Optiplex, there are 2 connectors plugged into the motherboard, a 4-pin connector and a 24-pin connector. You will also need to remove the SATA power connector from the hard drive, and depending on what your Dell Optiplex came with, it may have a disk drive and a card reader. Those are both powered by SATA as well. Remove those now. I see a lot of comments asking, why are we replacing the stock power supply? This is because the new graphics card that we are installing requires a much more powerful power supply to run the graphics card. Once all power supply cables have been detached, remove the power supply from the unit. Now we are going to remove the CPU fan from the PC. To do so, unscrew the 4 screws that hold the CPU fan to the motherboard. Also, make sure to unplug the cable that powers the CPU fan from the motherboard. As the Dell Optiplex i5 2400 model is quite an old PC, we need to replace the thermal paste on the CPU with new, fresh thermal paste to ensure we are getting optimal thermal temperatures when running games on this PC. Now that the CPU fan has been removed from the PC, take this opportunity to clean the dust out of the CPU fan. As you can see from this clip right here, the old CPU thermal paste is hard and dry and is no longer providing proper thermal performance for the CPU. Remove old thermal paste with some rubbing alcohol, a Q-tip, and a paper towel. Make sure to use a lot of elbow grease as this stuff is dried on pretty hard. New CPU thermal paste can be bought for just a few dollars. We'll have a link in the description. Apply about a pea-sized shape worth to the CPU. Once thermal paste has been successfully applied, reinstall the CPU fan by screwing in the 4 screws and make sure to replug it into the motherboard. This step should not be overlooked, as applying new thermal paste to the CPU is very important to ensure the CPU stays cool while playing intense gameplay sessions. This next step is optional, depending on how much RAM your Dell Optiplex came with. We recommend you have at least 8 GB installed in your system. If your system only has 4 GB, or your system has 8 GB and you want to upgrade to 12, you can install a 4 GB DDR3 RAM stick for about $10 and pop it into one of these RAM slots. Now, let's move on to the installation of the 500 watt power supply. These power supplies can be bought from anywhere between $30 and $50 and come with all necessary power adapters you need. Installing the new power supply is almost identical to removing the old stock power supply. Place power supply in the slot and move all the power cables out of the way. Now you can use the 4 screws you used from the original Dell power supply to re-screw in the 500 watt power supply. Make sure to screw in all 4. Once the power supply is securely screwed into place, we can now move on to installing the graphics card. Unhook this black plastic PCI holder and remove 2 metal brackets to make room for the graphics card. In this build, we are using the NVIDIA GTX 760, which is a fantastic budget card, and when it's paired with the Intel i5 2400 CPU, it produces an amazing gameplay experience, allowing most modern games to run at medium to high settings at 1080p and 60 to 100 FPS easily. If you are coming from our $200 console killer budget PC video, then you can replace the GTX 760 we are using in this video with the AMD RX 570 to drastically increase your overall gameplay experience. So to install the graphics card, make sure it is lined up with the blue PCIe slot. Once you have it aligned properly, push down firmly until you hear a click. Do not force the graphics card into the PCIe slot. It should almost slide into place. Now it is time to reconnect all the adapters from our new 500 watt power supply. Almost all aftermarket power supplies come with 8-pin hookups that can be broken into either 4-pin hookups or 6-pin hookups. We are going to use the 4-pin hookup for one of our motherboard connectors. The GTX 760 uses a 6-pin and an 8-pin power adapter, so again, using one of these 8-pin adapters, split one off to a 6-pin adapter, plug an 8-pin adapter and a 6-pin adapter into the card. Now we need to use one of the multiple SATA power adapters to plug back in the hard drive, the disk drive, and the card reader. Make sure to reinstall the black plastic PCIe slot holder to hold the graphics card in place. Just like the RAM, the hard drive capacities range in storage sizes. Luckily, again, just like the RAM, the hard drive can easily be upgraded and/or replaced. The Dell Optiplex has multiple mounting brackets. You can either replace the hard drive within the original location by transferring the blue mounting bracket, or you can add an additional hard drive to the bracket just below the disk drive. Now let's move on to the optional RGB LED strip installation. While this step is indeed optional, I highly recommend doing so, as it adds a lot of style to your gaming PC for just a few bucks. The kit we are using comes with 2 LED strips. We are mounting the first strip directly under the graphics card. By doing so, the LED strip can be seen through the fan vent when the side panel is reinstalled. Make sure the surface you are mounting the LED strip to is free from dust. I recommend cleaning it with some rubbing alcohol. Now, with the second LED strip, we are going to mount it to the front panel. So first, we must remove the plastic cover. There are 4 plastic latches that hold this front cover in place. Lift up on all 4 latches and pull the plastic cover away from the computer. The LED strip in this kit we are using is a little too big for the front panel, but luckily, these strips can easily be cut down to the desired size with a pair of scissors. Again, make sure the surface is free from dust and mount the LED strip in the center of the front panel. Take the wire at the end of the LED strip and feed it through one of the holes in the front panel. It fits perfectly. Once the strip has been successfully installed, you can now reinstall the plastic cover. Next, we need to provide power to the LED strips. Take a Molex power adapter from our newly installed power supply and connect it to the LED strip power cable. Take the LED strip power cable and plug it into the LED strip controller box. Now, take one of these 8-pin LED strip connectors and plug one end into the strip itself and the other end into the LED controller box. Repeat for other LED strip. Take the antenna from the LED controller box and insert it into one of the holes in the front panel. This way, the controller box can receive a signal from your LED color selecting remote through the front plastic panel. The LED controller box can be securely tied down with zip ties being routed through the top of the hard drive chassis. Congratulations, you have completed the most difficult parts of this build, and we will be finished in just a few more steps. So now, we want to plug the power cord into the PC to ensure the PC turns on and the LED strips are connected properly. Take your remote and test the different color variations and make sure the box is receiving the signal. Now it's time to pull everything together and tidy this bad boy up. By looking at our build, it's no shocker we did a piss poor job with our cable management, but you can do a much better job by taking the cables from our new power supply and zip tying them together. This will make your build look a lot cleaner and a lot more professional. And there it is, you've successfully built yourself one hell of a budget gaming PC. But we're not done quite yet. Now we need to install Windows 10 and make sure your new graphics card has the necessary drivers installed so it can game to its full potential. Finally, we finished the build. Take a moment, pat yourself on the back. You have just built yourself a PC that will provide countless hours of amazing quality gameplay. Upgrading a pre-built PC like the Dell Optiplex is a great stepping stone into the PC building scene. So I hope you enjoyed today's video, as I tried my very best to cover all aspects of this PC build from start to finish and made it as easy as possible to follow. I want to thank all of you guys from the bottom of my heart for all the recent support on my videos. It really means the world to me. And to all the people who plan on completing this build, let me know in the comment section how it turned out. And you know, I gotta say it, but if you enjoyed this video, slap a like on it. And if your eyes enjoyed what they just witnessed, subscribe. We post tech videos like this all the time. Later, guys.